right, so welcome, Visionary. Welcome back to our channel. This is Raquel of Raquel and Davidian, Unleash Your Genius. Super excited about this event that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And this is going to be super deep and very special. So go grab some tea, coffee, whatever, wine, your green juice, BYOB, bring your own juice. And we're going to go deep. This might be a full hour, so prepare yourself. We're going to go deep. And we're going to be talking about sort of this notion that most of you guys who are here, a little bit about your human design and how that is a blueprint, a map to your awakening. It's a way to know your individuality, your uniqueness, to trust yourself, trust who you are, and then step into greater and greater aspects of yourself. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm bringing in David Gallarde, not to be confused with Davidian. So this is a really special treat. So I'm going to share a little bit about him, and then I'm going to let him talk and share. But this basically is the person who raised me to be a light worker, raised me to be a shamanic teacher, spiritual leader. And he is a galactic shaman, and he takes people through these very multidimensional experiences of light and lifts and changes people's DNA basically into higher aspects of themselves. And he has been doing this work for a very long time and is an incredible gifted light worker. And so I am super grateful and super excited to share him to you guys, to the community. So David, I am going to send it to you. So just share a little bit about your background, your history, what brought you to this place, and the work that you do.
Oh, thank you, Raquel. And Raquel and I have had a wonderful journey together. We actually met about the time I was working with a guy named Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements guy. And I was training as a shaman, and Raquel was in a lot of those events at that time. And so how that really, it was a really interesting way it started. I wasn't really planning to do, I was a designer. I wasn't planning to do teaching or anything like that, but I met with Miguel, and he, I could see that he could move all sorts of energy. And so I said, I want to take any trip or anything you do, sign me up. And he said, well, come talk to me the next day. And he's like, oh, you've been a great shaman other lifetimes. And he's going on and on about this stuff. And I'm like, Miguel, I'm not a nice person. I've got a horrific temper. And he's just laughing at me. And I'm just like thinking, what? I'm like, I don't think it's so funny. And he's like, well, really, dude, you just have to learn how to reorganize your energy. And he says, just rather than, working out of your anger and your rage, you're going to start opening your heart and sending all that energy. You got a lot of power under the hood. And so that day with Miguel was a defining moment in my life. It was a way in the road. And I was like, maybe I'm not inherently evil. Maybe there is hope for me. So that was the beginning, really, in a very significant way, of my spiritual journey. And then at the time, Raquel was in college, and I met her through another young man, Trey, who was Miguel's wife at the time.
His son.
Right.
Miguel's
exactly.
son, yeah.
Right. So anyway, so that's how our journey started. And so very fast forwarding, I've been in Sedona now for 13 years. My life really started to change when I moved here, because I never considered really teaching. I mean, even though Miguel talked about it, I was still a designer. And what happened when I moved to Sedona was that my soul started to be activated. And I'm a great lover of crystals. I have a lot of years and years of working with crystal technology. Very shortly after Miguel, I mean, while I was with Miguel, but working with that whole younger group of people at that time, somebody handed me a selenite crystal. And the moment I put my hands in that crystal, it came alive for me. All of a sudden, I felt energy and I felt other dimensions that up until that point had been unknown to me. So that was the beginning of my working with crystals. And once I started working with crystals, uh, this whole other universe started to open up to me. And so by the time I was in Sedona, I started to know things, and I didn't know how I knew things, I just knew them, which was puzzling. And at that point, what was happening was my heart was starting to be activated. And as a heart is activated, there's a whole nother aspect of us. You can read about it in Heart Math online, and that's where you come into knowing. And knowing is very, very different than thinking. Knowing is another way that we can navigate through our lives, and is particularly now is really necessary. So as the knowing started to happen, I was puzzled about. I felt a tremendous inner shifting happening, and that inner shifting really was about my soul being activated, and it was like I realized that there was a whole nother aspect to me other than my human story or my human history that was starting to open up. And it was opening up because I was working energetically, one with crystals, but I was starting to move in a faster frequency, a higher vibration. And so as we move into higher vibration, our inner worlds start to expand and open. And so it was a reintroduction to myself. I was starting to meet a whole different person rather than my chronological history. And so as I started to shift from this chronological history, what I realized was that, in fact, there are a lot of us, and this is very pertinent information for now, because this is part of the 2027 human design, I believe, aspecting it, that our souls are starting to open, and a lot of us are very advanced souls that came from advanced systems of light, came into a human form here, fell asleep, knowing that at some point we're going to wake up and remember who we truly are, and that we're going to use those abilities and that light to generate that through our bodies to help birth the new earth, the new consciousness. And here we are at this time on the planet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amazing. And so I want to kind of break this down for everyone who knows a little bit about human design and kind of knows a little bit about, their own particular journey, is that in this wheel that's turning in this 2020 shift, what's going to be happening, a couple of things that David had mentioned was the knowing. So this is a really important aspect because we're moving out of the aura mechanics that are based in logic. And that was the aura mechanics for 400 years, where A plus B equals C, right? And everything was based in that. It was like, unless we have this logical understanding of science and this, and if it can't be proven, then forget it. And so that was the aura mechanics, that was the epoch, meaning the collective aura that held and locked all of us in place. And so as that wheel shifts, those mechanics are falling apart, and what's coming in, for those of you who know human design, that 3420, that direct knowing, is going to be awakened as the aura mechanics of the collective. Also, that gate 55, which is all about spirit. And so these things are going to be starting to awaken. And so we have to get super comfortable, all of us, whether you have, whatever your aura mechanics are, you have to get super comfortable in the not knowing, first of all, like your mind not knowing, and then like, boom, the instantaneous knowing. And so as this process of awakening starts to happen, or as human design says, it's like the shift of the wheel, or however you want to put it. A lot of people are putting in a lot of different terms.
Mhm.
We're being asked to let go of the way we understood ourselves and our collective agreement and our reality. And so sometimes we need the assistance in the deconditioning and unraveling all of this so we can assist each other in going deeper into our own personal experience of the oneness, of the knowing, of the light, and of really awakening. And so one of the things that I think is really interesting is that when I first met David, he was actually known. Well, when I met you, you were Michael, but everybody was still calling you Brad, which was from the previous incarnation. So he has literally had 3 names, and it is like a completely different person through Brad, Michael, David. Now, the reason why I want to share this with you guys is because for those of you who know human design, this is the role model. Literally, he went through his trial and error stage as Brad, then he went the aloof on the roof as Michael, and then birthed into this role model, this conscious, the Buddha, the awakened like being that is not, talking it, being it, but being it. And so he's also a projector. We both found out we were projectors, which is really extraordinary in this, obviously for me, in this journey, and um really helpful for you too when you first learned about it. And so he's really open as a projector, though he only has one channel. And so that really allows him to really touch into all of the auras and all of the energies, and then lead, guide, and direct the future, right? The shift of the mutation, which is part of his design. So we're going to do some energy work with you guys today and really take you through a journey. And so I just want to bring everybody together. So I want to just ask everybody to um, shut down any other screens you might have, shut down your phone for a little bit, shut your door, and tell your family like you're going to go deep. And I'm going to ask that David take us on a little journey so we can have the experiential process of tapping into that central sun and going within to really awaken those states inside of ourselves. And so I always like to tell everybody to bring, a sacred item, like maybe light a candle. I have my crystals here. You should see David's crystals, by the way, that he's got like right in front of him. All right,
There's,
so there's one of his big ones. Here,
that's
let me
a
show
little
mine
baby.
too.
Yeah.
This one is actually, I bought this in Mexico when we did our trip to Teotihuacan. This
Hmm.
went all over the world, Egypt, Peru, everywhere. We would like carry around these huge crystals everywhere we went on our journeys. So funny. So anyways, take a second, go grab your crystals, okay? Shut your doors, and like let's begin this process where we can actually experientially get taken through these dimensions and through this process. It's going to be super deep. And so also I'm going to I want to post a picture of your crystals. I have like on your table there. I actually have a picture. So I'm
You
going to put
do?
that. Yeah, I have a picture. So I'm going to put that for everybody to see
Oh, great.
so that they can kind of energetically feel that experience. Because he has that crystal, but also in front of him, how big is that one crystal? It's like 5 feet, right?
It's 5 or 6 feet. It's a selenite crystal. Came from the Cave of Swords. It's very rare. The first crystal that I ever held that activated me was a selenite. And so this large crystal, which I have here, this is between 5 and 6 feet, has been with me for many years now, probably 25 or 30 years. And believe it or not, it came to me. I was driving to La Jolla. I was living in Southern California, and I saw a garage sale, and I was literally called to that. I wasn't going to go, and I felt somebody next to me say, "Follow those signs and go to that sale." And I was like, I was trying to get rid of stuff. I didn't want more stuff, and here that crystal was on a dining room table. And I walked in and was able to give I offered the woman cash, and within a couple of minutes, another woman came, and she was furious that I had bought the crystal, and but the point was, actually 7 years later, I'm in a marriage, and we're in Coronado, and my wife has some people that are coming, a lady that's coming to do work with her, and this crystal was in our library, and a woman walked in and she said, "That's my crystal." And my wife was going, "Well, what are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, I sold it in a garage or a estate sale." And my wife said, "Well, he uses it to help a lot of people." And she said, "It was so weird. I bought that crystal, and it stayed in storage for 30 years. It never came out of its crate until that day." So obviously, this crystal and I had quite a relationship and a journey to take.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was meant to be with you. It was meant to be in your hands. Yeah, so that was a whole other incarnation that we had this experience when then Michael met this woman, and then Hughes, soon to be Gabriel Gallarde, who was really, I consider her to be a master, sort of an enlightened teacher who was just an extraordinary person after, kind of witnessing a lot of crazy stuff with Miguel and the teachers who, are powerful but can't be in integrity. And so she really brought that lesson of integrity, as a teacher. And I actually, my whole life dismantled in San Francisco, and I ended up living with you and her,
Mhm.
and the most unbelievably powerful journey that year or two, or however long it was, being in these incredible states of transformation and energy and light. And it was really this like sacred awakening. And so, you know, yeah, just so powerful, powerful stuff and powerful journey. And, I just feel grateful to have been on this journey with you, to have you guide my life. So I call him my father. He really did raise me. I was really like, I think we were like 20. I was 20. I was like 20 or 21 when we met. Just like bleached blonde hair. She remember I was just, and like that was the beginning of my power journey, my life, my awakening. And um so I just immediately knew this was the person I wanted to guide my life. I spent a lot of time with Miguel's group and Miguel, and I wanted the real deal, and I wanted the real integrity, and I wanted, someone who was going to be holding that true space of service and integrity. And, that has been the work that you've done and sort of the journey. And so, and I think right now it's the most important time in history that you learn how to unplug from the matrix. You learn how to tap into your own inner wisdom, your own inner light, and you're able to really awaken within, because there's so much confusion out there, and there's so much fear. And you really have, this is the time when I think the intensity of the fear is going to get heightened, and the confusion is going to get heightened. So, what we're going to do today and what David's going to guide us through is really helping you to strengthen your core within your own inner connection to the divine central sun, so that you can make sure that you can hold that within yourself. And he's got a lot of stuff coming out soon too, and I'll let you share about that, the kaleidoscope and the apps that people are going to be able to use anytime they're confused, or anytime they're going into fear, or anytime they're getting swept into whatever, the media, the, all of the fake news, and not knowing what to believe, and getting swept into that level of confusion. This is the stuff that's going to really help ground you out of the mind and into the vehicle consciousness and the awakened consciousness, right?
Right. So, some all those years ago, Raquel and I we were traipsing the globe. We were traveling constantly, and we were looking for the power spot, the place to be when the world went through the transformation, which is exactly what we're living right now.
Yeah.
So we knew it then, and we had other teachers that are no longer on the planet, but at the time we're saying there'll be a day when the whole world's going to go crazy. And and so now we're at that point, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So a year ago, because this will help you, I want to connect the central sun and that energy a little bit, and why the practical aspects of it. So about a year ago, all of a sudden I found out that I had to move suddenly. I wasn't expecting it, and being in Sedona, there was an issue of there just was nothing available. And so I was in this state in my mind, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, where I'm like, I've got to move, I've got to change, and yet there doesn't seem to be, I can't figure out the path forward. And so what I was trying to do at that point was manage my state, which meant on one level, the ego mind wanted to go crazy and go into fear and create all sorts of stories, and yet I had had enough training, and I had become a master of energy, so that the way I would manage my state was to go into I would literally go out on my back patio, and I would stare into the sun, and I would listen to some Tom Kenyon music. I don't know if you're aware of him, but he's an amazing sound healer. And so with my crystals, and what I would do is I take myself into a state of ecstasy or bliss. And so when you're in bliss, you can't be in fear. Okay, you can't be in monkey mind when you're in bliss. And so at that point, I would then go pack some boxes and stuff, and until the mind would start to come back in again, I go, oh, time to go back out in the bliss, And so that was a way to manage my state. It was like, so that, there's a part of me that was the shaman and master of energy. And then there was the human part that was, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And ultimately what happened was amazing and magical things happened, things that should not have happened. The perfect home showed up, a lot of things happened. So what happened when I was doing so much of that energy work is I started to go in, I was in a spiral of light, and that spiral of light was starting to direct my life. And it was like, it was almost like being in a cyclone of light, really. That started a year ago, and so that took me into a place of a very accelerated awakening, and that awakening. So when I would stare into that sun, it would take me into ecstasy, and it would activate the heart center, and so I kept following that path of going into the light and into the ecstasy, which was birthing my whole new consciousness and my new life. It was just at that point, Raquel and I were talking earlier, that, it was a year ago about right now. And it was just before the whole COVID thing. So it was like, we didn't know what we were walking into and how much our lives were going to change in the next year. And so there was a very practical application for this energy that I'm going to take you in. So it's to go into the heart, to go into your soul, activate
Need you. Sorry.
another level of yourself that may or may not be known to you, but you're being called to it now. And I want to share something else, which is that I also, so I'm a master of portals. I can open up portals of energy. That training came from Sedona. It came from, this being a very powerful energy fields here. And so if you think about it, a kaleidoscope is also a portal. Okay. Now, most people look at kaleidoscopes and they're just taken away by the beauty of the kaleidoscope. But the truth is that that I had a friend of mine who is a master at creating these kaleidoscopes, and I started spiraling into them. I could, in my mind, I could start traveling through these fractals of light. And when I would do that, so I go from it would activate my heart, and take me into ecstasy. I'd start to go into these fractals of light. And ultimately what it did, it would take me into the central sun. And as I would go into the central sun, then I found myself in a luminous state. And in that luminous state, I found myself in a process of metamorphosis. So, metamorphosis is the whole thing of the caterpillar to the butterfly. Well, the human family now is in a state of metamorphosis, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
We're being called to awaken into our soul, into higher levels of ourselves. And as I become masterful with a kaleidoscope, and I literally have a kaleidoscope that it's computer generated now, that as I literally would talk to it and say, reveal yourself to me, take me where you want me to go energetically, take me into these portals of light. And as I would do that, I was like taken into the future. And as I was taken into the future, I was shown that this period of time we're in, from now to 2027, we are going to go through such a massive mutation, transformation. And I know that Raquel has her own verbiage and her own words through but what I'm telling you is that as you go through this, you are literally being dissolved, and going through a resolution of the whole ego structure is dissolving, and a whole new level of you is birthing. And I love human design because human design captures this. I'm speaking in my own kind of language, but I have a great deal of respect for human design. And so as you become birthed in this light, in this higher frequency of yourself, you literally are birthing into a whole new consciousness, into a whole new way of being, because literally we are accelerating into such vast and technology that, like, we're literally going into levels of technology now that are going to change our lives. They're going to change the way we live. They're going to bring us, so like with the COVID, what I was shown was that there's so much energy being put into resolving COVID, that, so much science and everything, that actually that is going to bring us to greater states of health. So I was shown in a very short period of time, our cancer issues are going to be resolved, because the people that are working, the doctors and the scientists, are not only going to figure out and resolve COVID, but they're going to figure out cancer, and they're going to figure out a lot of things. So a lot of things that have been, kept us, taken us, shortened our lives, are going to be resolved through the seeming chaos. So out of this chaos is, in all birth, there's chaos in birth, but there's a whole other side that is very bright, very brilliant. And the technologies and the way we're going to live in holographic ways is going to change our worlds. And so I just want to share really quickly that, and then we'll go into the energy, but I want to inspire people. And so recently, as I was kind of going through this kaleidoscope of fractal light, I was literally taken into a future that is within 5 years, where I was in this room in this house, and I was shown that how literally the technology that we're going to have from computers at that point, all the walls were computer screens. They look like normal walls. The technology was, the membranes that you literally talk to. And so what we've been used to and working in, with our little computer pads and everything, all of a sudden are they going to be very interactive with a human. And why I was doing that, they said, we want to show you really how advanced this is going to become. And they go, where's one of your favorite places on the planet? And I said, Kyoto. I love the gardens in Kyoto, Japan. They're spectacular. And all of a sudden, I was literally in those gardens in Japan. And they said, this is the new technology that you won't even need to travel to go to Kyoto and be in the gardens, right? Because this is actually the technology that's birthing right now. And it's kind of like a surround technology. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, like a VR, like virtual reality, where all of a sudden, like with the virtual reality, it's like there is no separation between what you are experiencing and what you're what's there, right?
Exactly. So I mean, in a very short period of time, we've seen how much Zoom has changed us in a year, right?
Yeah.
Well, just think in a few more years where we're literally going to be living in these worlds that where we're global and we're beyond global at that point. So a lot of the barriers and limitations that we've experienced and considered part of the human condition are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And and that's going to go also for our having extended lives, that the whole aging process, all of that. So we're in, it's kind of like going from the horse and buggy to the automobile. And when Henry Ford showed up, everybody thought he was crazy, but that was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and a whole new life for the human family. Well, here we are again. But this time it's going to be interplanetary, because we're going to start to remember ourselves as we exist in the multiverse.
Right. Exactly.
We've been in this very limited perspective, but now it's time for us to open to that and remember. So I think all of this is extremely exciting and invigorating.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely is. I mean, that is, I think that what we're seeing more and more is that people not only have these new technologies around, just of course the like iPhones, the updates and all of this. I consider human design a new technology. It's only been on the planet, it hasn't been here that long. It's a new technology to read your DNA code. And then there's new light technology to, really assist us in taking who we are and what we know about ourselves, going through, any of the deconditioning that needs to happen, meaning any of the places where you don't know who you are, you've been conditioned to believe you're a certain way, and then awakening into the city or the inner guru, your own inner guru. So your own inner wisdom, your own highest expression of self, right? That highest expression of the multidimensional self, the soul, the infinite space of which you are. And that knowledge begins to awaken like the heaven on earth, right? Where we're through the 3D or third density, if you want to use the law of one, where it goes to the next density, where we're all connected. And the beautiful thing, I think, also about human design that points to this as well, when we talk about that mutation, is they're talking about the mutation of the solar plexus, where the emotional center is going to be an intelligence center, which basically means that you are going to not intellectually, but in the intelligence of the emotional connection to people around you. So you would never hurt another person because you're emotionally feeling the oneness with the people around you. And human design is saying that is the future. We're going to be so connected in the penta becomes conscious. So we actually begin to feel our own light, the multidimensional being that we are, and the connection energetically that we have to each other.
Right. And you know, you and I were talking, I had a client from Chicago that I met for the first time. And at the time when I sit down to work with him energetically, I felt my solar plexus immediately having a connection with this man, and which took me into knowing very rapidly. And I went, do you know what you are in human design? And he was like, no. And I said, I'm pretty sure you're a projector. And it's like, I can feel you in my solar plexus. Not only can I feel you, but then that switches on that knowing that comes from these other levels of our being. That's not the intellect.
Right.
It's like, we know. And so I was sharing that with Raquel, and she's like, oh yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting. And so the other thing I want to say that I've worked with a lot of people, and the biggest challenge for people now is like, how do they get out of the linear sequential mind? So what happens is, we have these great intellects, but the minute that we are triggered by fear, the way we try to resolve our future is it throws us back into the past. So we go into the files of our history and we try to resolve our future or our now from our experience from the past. And that's like going into our DNA, right? In the family dysfunction. And so it's like going into the past and trying to throw it forward in the future and expecting a different outcome, and we can't do that. So there has to be the deconstruction of the ego, the deconstruction of that, and then the birthing of these other levels of ourselves, so that we're prepared to walk into this brilliant future.
Yeah. Yep. Love it.
Yeah.
So should we get into some energy work?
We sure are. So don't get lost in really in what I'm saying. It's more, see if you can follow the energy, okay? So I'm going to be working a little bit with energetic pyramids and stuff like that. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm setting up energy fields, and just kind of go with the flow. We're going to be working with a lot of light coming into your body. And my intention is to introduce you to an energetic level of yourself that maybe you know and maybe you don't, and activate some energy flow within you that might start moving some inner shifts. So what I'd like you to do is just go into your inner core, and as you go into your core, go into the stillness. And I want you to know you can't do this wrong. So just do it however it shows up for you is going to be perfection, okay? And as you go into that, I'd like you to imagine a very large pyramid of light, like the Pyramid of Giza, huge pyramid. And that pyramid is going to be made out of plasma light. And so just imagine a huge pyramid of radiant plasma light. And I'd like you to step into that pyramid of light. And at the base of the light of the pyramid will be 3 circles of light. And those 3 circles of light are going to be, first circle light is going to be 13 pointed stars. The second circle light is going to be 13 dream weavers. And the third circle light is going to be 13 mama dragons. And the mama dragons are part of the divine feminine that's starting to open up. It's part of Mother Earth. And so that's why we're bringing that. So, okay. So just imagine in this pyramid and feel this radiant light starting to come into your feet, your arches, your heels. Feel this radiant plasma light moving up your legs. Feel it flowing into your hips. And when we get to the base of the spine, I'd like you to imagine or experience a radiant central sun. So that feel the power of that sun at the base of your spine. Just feel tremendous force of light and power at the base of your spine. And we're going to start bringing that light up your spine. And when we get to your heart center, I'd like you to feel an explosion of light. And we're going to go opening that heart and placing a central sun in the heart and feeling the radiance of that. And so a great way, especially for women to really open their heart, is to connect into their unconditional and radiant love for their children, and for men too. And really feel that love, feel and combine that with the central sun, feeling your heart really opening and expanding. There we go. And so we're going to let that continue, and we're going to continue to bring this force of light up your spine. I want you to feel it flowing into your shoulders, your upper arms, your lower arms. We're going to bring it into your hands and your fingers. And I want you to place the central sun in your palms and your fingertips, and just feel the energy of that. Feel how the creative forces come through our palms and come through our fingertips. Feel the radiance and energy. And we're going to go now to the brainstem. Right at the base of the brainstem, I want to place another central sun, because this is a very powerful center, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to create a figure 8 of energy that's going to go from the brainstem through the heart to the base of the spine, the central sun at the base of the spine. So there's going to be this flow of figure 8 of energy that's going to continue up and down your spine as we continue doing this work. I want you to feel that. And then we're going to go back to the brainstem, okay? And really feel that force and the energy at the brainstem. And we're going to activate your thymus, your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your pineal glands. And the pineal gland is in the very center of the brain, and that is kind of the interdimensional gateway into higher consciousness. So we're going to place the central sun in this beautiful, in the center of the brain and in the pineal gland. And I want you to feel the radiance of that light, feel the luminosity of that. And so we're going to place the central sun there. And I want you to feel the whole neurostructure of your brain switching on. And as it's switching on, I want you to feel you're moving into higher levels of brain function. So we're going to switch on and connect into the multiverse. The multiverse is that part of you that connects into the multi-worlds, into holographic and multi-dimensional consciousness, as well as galactic levels. So this is the cosmic part of the brain that's switching on. And I want you to feel the radiance of that, the luminosity of that. Just feel radiance and clarity coming in. And what I'm going to ask you to do now is to spiral out your third eye and out your crown. And we're going to start traveling through a galactic corridor of light. And as we're traveling through that galactic corridor of light, I'd like you to notice that you are now light in form, that you are, and as you're traveling as light in form through this galactic corridor, I want you to feel yourself merging with the central sun. Feel the plasma of the central sun merging with the plasma of your blood, and feeling the radiance of the blood crystals, and feeling those blood crystals actually vibrating into radiant diamonds of light as it's coursing through your entire pulmonary system. So we want to feel that your whole physical body is just filled with this radiance as we're traveling through this galactic corridor. So we're going to go through a galactic gateway, through an initiate, and we're going to go directly in towards a kaleidoscope of beautiful fractal light. And so this is your own personal kaleidoscope. It's going to show up for you in your own unique way. But notice as you're traveling through this spiraling kaleidoscope of fractal lights, that you are now traveling as energy through these fractals. And these fractals of kaleidoscope are literally reconfiguring, kind of like tuning your energy field. And so you're in all this radiance and all this beauty as you're traveling through this light. and feel, just allow yourself to travel through that. And as you kind of get to an apex in this kaleidoscope, I want you to imagine or see a radiant eye, an oculus, an all-seeing eye, and feel yourself going directly through that eye and directly into the central sun. Feel yourself in the radiance of the central sun, and notice that this is not hot or burning, it's just radiant, vibrant light. And as you move into that vibrant light, I'd like you to feel that light wrapping you into a vibrational experience where you feel like you're in a cocoon, in a radiant cocoon, just feeling very safe and very warm, feeling those forces of light that are coming from beneath you and above you, spirals of light. They're just really activating your whole energetic field and preparing you to go through a metamorphosis. You're in a process of metamorphosis, of awakening into levels of yourself that have been dormant, but it's now time for that to awaken, and to awaken into these levels of light that you have always coexisted in, except that during your, you came from light into form, and when you came into form, you forgot about these dimensions of light because your journey was to be a good human and to have the human experience. But you knew at some point you were going to reconnect with that light, that is part of you in the multiverse. And the reason that you're awakening to that light now is because that light is going to start streaming into you. It's going to kind of, if you will, do a cosmic download. And this is going to be very, very important in the next few years, so that you are prepared to move into these levels of light that are going to literally that are transforming this planet. And like I said, we are going to be in such incredible levels of light and technology that are going to be so delightful for all of us. And we're we're in this place of birthing. We're in this place of metamorphosis right now. The caterpillar to the butterfly. How exciting! And so I'm going to just be quiet for a moment and just kind of really move this energy. And I just like you to enjoy the flow of it. And maybe you even get into that really high frequency of joy, maybe even ecstasy. And there's probably some masters out there that do this all the time. So let's just kind of like go into that frequency. There we go. And if this is feeling good to you, I'd like you to really ask your heart and your soul to open to you in ways that you can understand. That perhaps today is a day where you go, I am willing to go fully into this metamorphosis. I am willing to go into this awakening. And I ask for the guidance. I ask for the vibrational frequencies and the guidance to open fully into the magnificence of my being, of who I truly am. And I open to allow this light to reveal itself to me and through me, so that I can move into my place in the new consciousness, in the new earth, in the new world, as a radiant being of light, the enlightened human, the light in form, light in consciousness. And then my heart and my soul open fully to me in a way that I can capture it and become one with it and have a relationship with these new aspects of myself that are birthing now, that are being activated now if I so desire that. That I am going to come into a vibration and a consciousness that I will call presence, where we are fully present, fully alive, fully engaged in the creative forces within ourselves and the creative forces within on Earth and the multiverse. And that we are on the journey, the greatest journey that we've ever taken is unfolding for us here and now in this moment. And that our futures are going to be extraordinary and bright. That the best of us is just unfolding, and we are walking into the most extraordinary parts of our lives and our journeys that we can ever imagine. So Raquel, I'm going to let you step in here, and I'm going to continue doing this energy.
Yeah, so I just want to assist all of you in beginning to feel what's happening inside your body. So as this energy moves, you may feel a deeper sense of love, you may feel a deeper sense of connection. Whatever you're feeling is so divinely perfect for you. And so just honor your experience and honor what's present for you. So now what I want to do is just assist you guys in asking whatever you want to ask of this highest consciousness, what you might need to learn right here and right now. What is it that you can gain from this experience? You can ask this intelligence anything you've been struggling with, any particular fear that you might have been having, and just this is the place where you can ask for a deeper level of assistance, a deeper level of knowledge. Help me set the intention to have more success in my business or in knowing where to live in my relationship. And so once you set that intention and ask for some wisdom, let's begin the journey back into your body. So begin this journey to ground this energy. So start feeling your weight in the chair. Start feeling your breath. Start feeling your feet on the ground. And just notice the shift. Notice what's shifting inside of yourself. Notice that shift of energy. And just really thank yourself for this moment, for your willingness to go deep, to explore. Just feel what happens when you're back in the room, opening your eyes, bringing yourself present. And I just want to let you guys know we would love to hear about your journey. And so if you want to leave a comment below about what you experienced, maybe what you saw, what insights you had, this way we can connect and hear what's going on. So please let us know what your experience was. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the comments, and we will make sure that we answer all of the questions, anything that might be coming forward for you. That way we can really connect with each one of you that's here, that's been on this journey with us. All right. Beautiful. So that was really unbelievably powerful. I actually want to share just a little bit of what happened for me. I think that as you are talking about that technology and what we're birthing into, what I really saw was where we're at right now through this session, through Zoom, like that energy just moving into each and every person's heart multidimensionally through this technology that we have available to us right now, and just expanding to everyone in their own homes, wherever they are on the planet. The beautiful thing is that wherever you are, you can tap into this energy, this video, no matter where you're tuning in from. And we're all connected through time, through space, and through this technology. And we're all coming together to also co-create through the divine heart, as opposed through what happens when we create in fear. Bijou, sorry guys, Bijou gets the energy, she starts going nuts. So when we create together in the fear, that's where the chaos and the confusion starts to come. But it doesn't take much to shift into the love. It doesn't take much. It's like, where did we go the last, what was this 20 minutes that we opened our heart and went into that frequency of love? And then what we also do is we co-create in the moment the vision for the future. And we begin to see the possibilities, and we begin to open the door for that reality where we are in divine harmony as humanity, and I personally believe we all have choice. We all have choice. If you want to leave the planet, or you want to stay in 3D or whatever, there's options for everybody to have the choice. We all have our our sacred will and our sacred choice, right? So when we align into these higher frequencies, like we're creating a new earth, we're creating a new dimension for humanity and for humans to live in a whole new way. And that to me is what's so powerful, is that we know we're creator beings. We know that when we seed our multidimensional self with our human vehicle, which is exactly what human design is doing, is birthing the light, the red, your conscious and your unconscious, right? Or your vehicle intelligence and your consciousness, right? These two things, we're merging all of these things together in order to really awaken a new way, a new being, a new consciousness. And so this is the power of coming together in this intention and in this co-creation. So it's such a important time to seed a positive vision for not just your own life, but a positive vision for humanity.
Right. Right. And so it's almost like a year ago, a little over a year ago, was the cracking of the shell, right? Our lives were all changing, and it was a collective change. It wasn't, we were all going into this process together with our individual experiences of that. Um, and it, you know, in that that experience, the COVID thing really made us focus inward, right?
Yes.
It was like all of us had, we couldn't be distracted in the ways that we had been, you know, and so, you know, it was like life was becoming a mirror, and we were starting to have to pay attention to how we were feeling, how we were thinking, and so that was the beginning of a body of work individually and collectively of beginning to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, from this idea of deconditioning, you have to do it without the input of other aura types,
Mhm.
because we're constantly being bombarded by the aura of other people when we're out and about, even, whatever we're doing. And so the fact that each person was forced into their own aura, it was like that is deconditioning in itself, that you were in your own house, you couldn't be around other people, you were able to like just be in your own aura. And that is so empowering, and regardless of any of the um stories, what other stuff people are saying about what's going on out there, for those of us who are beginning that journey of awakening, everything is accentuating that possibility and that particular choice. And so being in your own aura and deconditioning from all of the everything that you get, all of the thoughts, all of the pressure, all of the, you know, um,
Emotion, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so, what an empowerment we all just went through.
Hmm. Right. And doing it collectively,
Yeah.
you know, in mass, globally,
Yeah.
preparing
Yeah.
us
I
for
mean,
this global awakening.
exactly. Yeah. And it's so interesting because everything has been pointing to that, and regardless of what you're looking at, astrology, all of whatever you're looking at, I mean, and yeah, the spiritual community, and we've been talking about this for so long. It's like everyone knew something big was coming, that we were on the precipice of a great awakening. And so now it really is our personal responsibility to step into our own personal awakening, our own personal self mastery, our own personal knowledge with who we are, with our brilliance, our uniqueness, and our potentiality as, light beings and conscious beings on the planet.
So we all have a very bright future as we connect into these levels of light that we already exist in. It's now about that, becoming one with that, integrating that, allowing these forces of light, which is through the heart, through the doorway of the heart and the soul, allow that streaming. I got to tell you that it's going to be very common for people to be in a state of bliss or ecstasy, but
Yeah.
that's going to be the new normal. It's as we get through and clear away all this other junk, all these other emotions and all this other trauma. And so, and part of that, part of the catharsis of that is cleaning our family DNA.
Yep.
So, it's like a lot of, so we've carried forward a lot of the emotion that has come from our ancestors. And so now it's time to not only clear and dissolve that, but then walk into these levels of light, walk into these levels of mastery. That's what we're doing on Earth. That's what we showed up here to do. And you know, so we're these wonderful generations that have come into human form to become form in light and to literally transform the whole experience of humans on Earth. Pretty exciting stuff.
So awesome. So awesome. So I just want to begin the process of wrapping up for today and letting you guys know that we are going to, like I said, we're going to read all of your comments and all of your questions. So don't hesitate to let us know what's coming up for you, what you're experiencing. You know, share with us what happened through your energetic journey. And, you know, it's just a true honor to bring this energy out and to really share, because you know the time is now. It's totally now. And that was amazing. So I just want to thank you for sharing this incredible space and creating this incredible event for everybody. And what else do you want to leave people with?
You know, I would love to have people go to today, walk away with a sense of renewed faith in themselves, in on our the human family, in really being excited about we are in such a state of transformation. And when you go through the transformation, there's chaos, right? So when people were leaving the horses and the farms and going into the industrial age and automobiles, it just jacked up everything for a while, and it was like, and so now we're at the precipice where we're in this huge transformation. We have people that are trying to go back into the past, and we have people that are very reactive. They're in a lot of fear, and because they're confused.
Yeah.
And then we have other people that are visionaries that are going like, no, come on, guys, we can do this.
Yeah.
Life is going to get so much better for all of us on this planet. Just keep going. And I think all of us, we have these times in our lives where we just think, I can't deal with one more thing. It's just so piled up. And then, then there's that breakthrough.
Yeah.
And so right now we're in breakthrough after breakthrough. And if you feel, right, there's so much what I would call a chaotic node of energy on the planet, which is confusion.
Right.
And chaos. And that rather than getting lost in that is finding ways to lift ourselves out of it.
Yes.
So, whatever that takes. And even if you lift yourself out of it for a while and then you go back in it and then you lift yourself out of it, which is the way most people do, it's like you're going to break out of the chaos, out of the remnants of fear and into these levels of extraordinary light and bliss and joy. And you go like, well, how are people going to function if they're always in bliss or they're always in ecstasy? And it flows like this. Your fallback, your natural energy is the frequency of, we'll say, ecstasy or bliss.
Well,
And then you focus in on your mind when you have to be doing certain business things or stuff like that. You go into that, more into the mind, but then your default then is this extraordinary energy that just flows through your being of well-being all the time. And so we're in a place of incredible expansion, and the universe is really wanting to bless us and gift us, and the more that we can clear out of the fear and open up and go, okay, what is in our future? What's possible now? What the technologies are going to lift us out of so much drudgery that humans have been in, free us from having to spend our entire time trying to survive, trying to make a living, trying to do all that. We're about to walk into a lot of freedom. And part of that, having more time, is also going to be being prepared internally to be able to hold that in a way that's going to be joyful and blissful for us.
Yeah, I mean, so brilliant. Just so beautifully said. I think that there are so many storylines. And remember, there's all this fake news and storylines and people saying, what's going on. And one of the things I just want to really encourage everybody in this journey is to know that, and also with that said, it's the same thing in human design. Like Ra, the founder of human design, he created a prophecy around 2027 that isn't necessarily a good ending. And I think that's why he that's why he transitioned so quickly off the planet, because you don't want to lead with fear. And here's what I want to say about that, particularly for people in human design that may have received some of that knowledge, is that when you're going through a birthing, and Ra, he was left strategic, so he viewed the past. And so what you're looking at is the ending of one thing. And so if you're looking at the ending of one thing, then you're going to be like, oh my God, the end is near, right? Because it's true. That's what a transformation is. It's a death and a rebirth. So
Mhm.
you're looking at the birthing and, who all the things, just like the whole idea of like the blind men telling each other what the elephant is. When you're looking at the birth, you can look at, oh my God, this is a bloody, horrible mess, or you can look at the birthing of the miracle. And I think that's what we're really being asked. Now, what we're really being asked to like pay attention to the birthing of the miracle. And so regardless of all the storylines that you're receiving, anything that's based in fear or panic, anything that is creating a sense of stress or anxiety or fear or panic within you, that actually limits who you are and limits your truth. And anything that's giving you this vision and storyline of peace, bliss, love, that you're awakening into truth. The truth is, this love, and the love is really healing. And in that healing and in that love, that's when you can really feel for yourself, what you want to live in. What do you want to live in? And so I think it is really important to see this vision of hope and the vision of possibility for the future, because there's so many other things coming up for people.
So the line is, what we're going to understand is that we are creators,
Yes.
and that we are creators of our universe and our vibrational field. And so
Yes.
now we're in the training to become responsible of what we create and maintaining that creation and that frequency. So when negative stories and fearful stories come up, you really ask yourself, where is this originating from? Who is creating this? Who's maybe projecting this? And is this true for me? Do I really want to link with this storyline? And if it doesn't make me feel good, and if it takes me into fear, for personally, I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this energy that we did today, this meditation, energy work, connection to the central sun, this is available for you guys. Can go back and listen to it as much as you want, because it is going to be, it is a key to assist you in holding that space of love for yourself. So thank you all for being here today. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a joy and an honor to bring this intel out to you. And we'll keep you updated on new stuff coming out, and the new stuff that David's going to be doing, and we will let you guys all know. And please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, like I said, let us know what's coming up for you and any questions, and we'll be sure and get back to you guys. So thank you all so much. Mwah!
Blessings to everybody.
Yeah, thank you all, and thank you, David, so much. That was so powerful, and I feel pretty blissed out.
It's good to feel great, isn't it? Isn't it great to feel wonderful and full of ecstasy and joy? And what a nice state that is.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.